My name is Michael Calabrese. I'm an artist, painter. I've been painting in oils exclusively. They seem to be, well, since they don't dry as fast, you could always go back to them. You can take them out, put more in. You have more time to play with it. Come back in a couple of days, it's still wet, it's still alive. That's, for me, that's important. When it dries too fast, it's just kind of prohibits my process of working. I took sculpture classes, I took some painting classes. I took a drawing class which I dropped out within 2 days. I just didn't, the only thing I got out of it was the ebony pencil. I went to the Art Students League, which was, for me, the best 3 years I ever spent in any school. It was an important school. Studied with Anthony Palumbo. And it was a drawing class, and that figure drawing and anatomy. And but he also let me paint in that class, which not too many people would do in a drawing class. He was my maestro. The guy was dynamic. You know, he gave everybody equal treatment. He could talk about philosophy of art, different periods of art, plus his own theories on art. So he had a lot to offer his students. He started teaching me certain things and talking to me about certain things, opening my eyes about the technical things, about seeing things, how to see things. He always said, you don't believe what you see. And he's right. You can't believe what you see, because things change as you're seeing them. Everything changes, light changes, movement. A model never sits straight for an hour, you know, slowly slouching, and everything changes. After like 6 months, he came up to me and he said, look, you know how to draw. I don't want you to do this anymore. Forget the model, the way I want to see it. Do it the way you want to do it. And then from there, you know, I took off with other things. Yeah, this is my studio in the basement. It's a decent size, and I put some work into it. It's a decent sized studio. Bad thing is the lighting. That's the problem with basements, is lighting. Unlike a natural light, you're not going to get much of that down here. Is when I am painting, when I have that paint, I paint on that wall over there, the far wall. I can just, I'm constantly going up and down here while I'm working. I like to see it from far away, midway, you know. You just see how it looks at different lens. But right now, this is it. This is where I work. And it's fine. What I have here are some newspaper drawings I used to do. I haven't done any in a while. What they were actually were diversionary pieces. I would find a photo in the paper that appealed to me, and I would change it, I would alter it, I would dissect it. And it was fun. It was they were fun for me, and it kind of got me out of my normal way of working. I drew on top of newspaper drawings, and the beauty about it is, which I found out when I was a little kid, I used to alter newspaper photographs by erasing them, and I use an eraser too. So with the pencil, putting on, taking off, and you come out with a whole new picture. And it's a lot of fun. They definitely relax me. Especially if I had a block on a painting, I was stuck somewhere on other pieces, I would just come to one of these and work on it. Actually, I would buy newspapers and just for the looking for photos. I wouldn't even read them. And until I found one. And it would have to hit me. The photo would have to hit me for some reason. And then I would do it. Visually, the same stuff that comes out is that biological movement, sensual, how the real becomes unreal. Although it's real for me. This one was a news thing about herpes. Two people kissing, like joining the two heads, making them one. That's what the kiss does. And I think I made the ad a little better. Sometimes the captions work with the pieces. Sometimes it's just the piece itself. But they're just fun. Little political statements at times, but nothing too important. One time I was upstate, driving upstate. I think I was with my brother. And we're coming across this field, and in the field there was this like hill. It was rounded, and there was another piece coming out of it. It was huge. And I remembered that shape. That shape caught my eye. And I took that shape when I got home, and I did this painting. And this is the piece, the field, the hill, the other piece coming out of it. And then it became this. So it doesn't look much like a field anymore. This I did when I was in the Art Students League. About 1977, 78. I did a lot of work back then, an awful lot. I produced a lot of stuff. That's all I did every day. It was an interesting piece. It has movement. It vibrates, it's alive, and that's what I try to get. Movement, composition, a lot of movement. Also, color. With the movement, the color changes from gray into a color. And this way nothing stays the same. And you see that movement. When you get movement, things kind of change real rapidly. There's actually a piece, there was two other pieces on each side of it connected to it. I had to cut them off. The whole canvas was stretched and adhered to a wall. I started to paint, never finished it. Anyway, this was my favorite part of it. This was the center of attraction. And it was 1979. There's something in it that I know is there that no one ever sees. Because they always say, oh, that looks like a duck smoking a cigar, or what is this? But right here, actually, this area, this is the back of a child's head. You can see the eye, the nose, the neck. This piece here, I did in the Art Students League. This is my second painting I did there, I remember. As you can see, it's deteriorating. I had stretched it on some wooden frames I got that weren't the right kind of wood to put them on. And they got molded. They started to, the mold started to get into it. It's starting to crack. I'm gonna do something with it, maybe put it onto another canvas, transfer it onto something else. My cat clawed it. He fell off something and clawed it. It's got some damage, but I think it's a piece I should save and do something with. And this was an unfinished piece I was doing at the time, back in '79, I think, back there. A lot of unfinished pieces, most of them aren't never finished, especially the paintings. I can sign my drawings, I don't sign the paintings. Why ruin a painting with a signature anyway? Okay, this painting here I did in 1975. I signed it. It's complete. I did it at Nassau Community College. And it's Dali-esque. I did the background all with my fingers. I didn't use a brush, except for the detail, the forms coming around. But the idea of movement, even composition, and some color still remain the same in the work I do now. Especially with the grays and the blacks and the colors I use. But what I do now, I've branched off into the unidentifiable. It could be something, it may not be something. Back then, I was doing more things that were surreal. And I think people like this more because they can kind of, they like to recognize things that they can describe and know what they are. The work I do now is a little bit more difficult for people when they look at it, and they don't know what it is, or they think they know what it is, but it never is. So I have stayed away from that for a long time. I feel more comfortable right now working with the unknown of maybe it's this, maybe it's that, and I can't even explain sometimes what it is. But I rather work that way than to say this is it. It's a story. The stories I work with now are hard to decipher. This one I did in 1994. It says it. It was an enjoyable piece to do. I really worked hard on it. I just like to cut it out. I was working with the frames and the lines and made sure the composition worked, of course. And then I started adding into the spaces. It's got some depth. This I did at the art students' day. It's got that grabbing, pulling, twisting thing and going. There's a turmoil going on. And, it just wants to grab and twist. It goes on inside you sometimes. It was fun doing that. This drawing here I did at the Art Students League in 1976. Surreal quality, city quality, and all the mysterious and disturbing things that go on in the city. This image here, that was a model in class, and it does look like him to me. The guy was kind of stiff and very weird kind of man, and I put him in a not too happy light, and I kind of took half that title from Eve Marion, who was a poet, and she had a book called In the City, Mother Goose, and that's In the City, Father Goose. This one here is called Habitual Flower. Kind of got inspired by this from seeing a Georgia O'Keeffe video of giant beautiful flowers, and I drew this after I saw that. It was a good inspiration for me. It's very soft. This one I did in 81. I got 81, 82 on that one. It's called Excellent, Good, Satisfactory, Poor Self-Control. And I got that title from when I was a child in report cards in Brooklyn or wherever it was, the city. They would have excellent, good, satisfactory, and the teacher would check off one on your report card. And I just threw in poor self-control because one time that's what the teacher wrote down. It's more or less a lesson in drawing. You have value scale, dark to light, and then I just worked things into it. It was fun doing that. And this one is a self-portrait. And did it in September '75. I like it. It was the old surreal thing. And it's about me at that time. Someone told me, we were looking at my work, and this guy told me, he goes, a friend of mine, goes, you know, God has smiled on you. I guess because he felt, you know, he saw some talent or whatever he saw. And then I thought about that later on, and it's like, well, God has smiled on me. Then the devil must be laughing.
Chopin stays in France.
Go.
Paris. A room facing south. Dirges ring his ears. Delacroix. All mirror. Fabulous funeral is put on hold. Female singers usually not permitted at the medical lab. O'Hara's ring. Ignato stone on homegrown, free of all angst. Elman's cruising the salt flats of lithium. Murray's flame-throwing surprises. 80-proof haiku.
So we just changed the lighting. It's not the best, but it's better than it was before. I could see it better.
Some days you just want to come home, open a beer and sit in front of the TV. And not think or feel anything but what you're supposed to. You're just one of those who keep the game going. Florida, Spain, Italy.
Cadmium red, medium. I have used these brushes. No sense in cleaning them. They don't last long.
Reality is what remains when we quit believing. Reality is what remains when we quit believing. So much more to know about this world. Nothing in the doorway, a chill running up my neck. And I must invent a reason for getting up in the morning. There's so much more to know about this. I suppose if when I die there is a heaven with long white robes, golden bars. I know the meaning of chorus. There's so much more to know about this world.
I'm adding some white because I'm completely lost in what I'm doing. It always happens. It's like I'm looking for something. And it's very hard to find sometimes.
begs at 6, piano lesson. 8th birthday, Fritz's piano touch. Snoozed around. Chopin blinks eyes for powder faces. Chopin plays a dandy, silver-lined cape, flutter, trickle, snow, fall, forest light, diamond sparkle, crystal green. Time is alive. Waltz, D flat, that was it. Those mistakes we needed to make out of our hands. Hear the poets around here walk in the woods. They know the small town. They know the sidewalk. They know the LIR.
What's happening now is a major change.
Looking out the window, staring at the world, lost in the moment, then what to do next, steps right up from behind like a friend saying it's time to go. I turn and stare at nothing in the doorway. A chill runs up my neck. And I must invent a reason for getting up in the morning. And so much more to know about this world. Still we don't know that soul survives and the body dies.
As you can see, I have a long way to go with this piece. It's just layer upon layer right now, that's all it is. Get the organic in. That organic thing will happen around it. And hopefully it'll turn out okay. This is just the beginning. It's like a sketch. Just playing with the colors. And eventually you keep what you want, what works, and get rid of what doesn't. And that's the way paintings go sometimes. Search for something. It's a constant search. And the thing is, you don't know what you're searching for until you see it. And usually you see something.
Old songs play in our head, our heart a solid machine. Old songs play in our head, our heart a solid machine. We danced in the courtyard. We danced in the marketplace. We lost our balance. We fell on our face. And we learned how to forgive ourselves for those awful things we Yeah, let's laugh and remember that was in another time. Those mistakes we needed to make out of our hands so long ago. Let those schemes for tomorrow turn to dreams we dream tonight. Yeah, let those dreams, let those schemes for tomorrow turn to dreams we dream tonight. And may our dreams see that this broken world turns out all right.